Hi, I'm Al Goff.
And I'm Miles Miller.
Hi, this is John Schneider.
Hi, it's John Glover.
This is Justin Hartley.
This is Steve DeKnight.
This is Aaron Ashmore.
This is Cassidy Freeman, and you are listening to Starkville.
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 Starkville. Starkville House of L. Starkville House of L.
Starkville House of L.
The podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Starkville's House of L. This is our episode 198 for the Smallville episodes Suspect and Rush. I'm Derek, and I'm joined today by a longtime friend of the show, academic. He's not a fan, folks. He's an academic. He is Professor Michael Bailey. Sir, thank you for joining us on this as our march to 200 continues.
I appreciate that. It was a correspondence course.
Was it?
To be fair, I saw it in the back of a comic book. A little turtle said you could be a professor if you just spent your entire life reading Superman comics.
I was going to say, how long was that correspondence course? It's a lifelong.
It took a hot minute.
You're a lifelong learner.
It took a hot minute, though. I have to say, this is the genesis of the Professor handle. This show.
That's
this
true,
is where
isn't
that
it?
handle came from.
That was
yes,
born
it is.
out
It
of
is
shoe.
absolutely true.
Wow, little origin story for you there, folks. God, how long ago was that?
It was season 9. It was the one with Zod, because Steve had me on to talk about Zod episode, and I blew his mind.
Was that Dominion?
By saying that in Zod's one of his early appearances, Zod made him a bunch of duplicates of himself.
Yeah,
and it was really weird.
Yeah,
so
it's really.
But I think
easy.
that's where it came from.
It's really easy to blow Steve's mind. When he found out there were 2 saltines in one pack, that he lost a whole day to that. I'm kidding. Steve was supposed to be here with us, but at the time of this recording, we have had massive storms in the southeast, tornadoes knocking out power, and hope everyone is safe in the path of this destruction. Steve's internet was not; it fell victim to it. So, should it be restored, he will be joining us. But otherwise, we're gonna move on without him because we've got so much to discuss. Have you had a chance to talk about the suit on air yet? Have I missed an appearance of the academic anywhere so far? You're everywhere these days. I can't keep up with you.
I have been easy with the commitments to guest appearances. We talked about it a little bit not a little bit. We spent half the show on Superman Homepage Live Monday night.
Okay.
On the 6th, talking about it. However, my opinion really hasn't changed. I remember seeing it, and I remember liking it. The biggest thing about it that I liked is that it seems to be taking a bunch of different versions of Superman and throwing them together in one costume.
Right.
And oddly enough, making that work. I was not the biggest fan of the New 52 design. I mean, if you look at the background, I got nothing but classic stuff behind me. However, because, between the world being on fire and nothing making sense, and also the fact that DC keeps rebooting every 6 months, seemingly.
Yeah, whatever works.
Now it's more of, it wasn't like a costume I hated. It's more of, that was just part of the rich tapestry of Superman's 85 plus now year history, and it's not my favorite. But,
I like a positive spin. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I get why people are mad. I don't get why people are upset that he's putting on his boots in a still image.
I don't either. So we've discussed this. You'll see on tomorrow's episode of Shoe, episode 199 that Frank and Robin on. We got into the weeds a bit with it the night the picture actually debuted. I kind of likened it to a Norman Rockwell type vibe. The working man, covered in dirt and about to head back out in the field kind of thing. I don't understand why people are mad about it. I don't think this is actual still from the movie or even a set that might be in the movie. I don't know if this is something they just threw up for the sake of a portrait. And then I saw last night somebody actually suggested this looked like a Total Film magazine cover. Which it really does when they took the Total Film logo and put it at the top, and I was like, that's exactly what this looks like now that I see it. But continue, please. I like it.
Well,
It's grown on me in the last several days.
I think the thing that grabbed me, there were two things about the image that drew my eye the most. One was Brainiac, Solaris, whatever the heck is in the background attacking the city. That's kind of interesting.
That's a jellyfish.
They sting.
Yeah,
they sting.
They sting.
But also, he's got... you can tell a certain generation of people by them referring to it as battle damage. Because they... and for me, it goes back... He goes back to 1984 with Battle Damage He-Man.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I referred to it. Battle Damage Superman.
So, to me, taking all of that into account, I looked at this image and I'm like, well, this is a guy that's been through something through the course of this film, and this is his resolve moment. This is his, I'm putting my boots back on and I'm stepping into the fray. I was talking about this with my wife, who does not like the costume.
Oh, really? Not a fan.
Yes, she spent like a couple minutes telling me everything she hated about it, which is fine because she has her opinion. I'm not going to tell her she's wrong because I'm a good husband. But for me, it was. I've been through this so many times. It's just, I'm like Danny Glover at the beginning of Lethal Weapon.
It feels like the Dr. Manhattan meme. It's 2005. I'm hearing people debate the new Superman costume. It's 2012. I'm hearing people debate the new Superman costume.
At least with this one, I didn't have to get a copy of USA Today
just
to see the costume for the first time.
That's correct. Good point there. oh, how the internet has changed in so many ways over the last 19 years. Now that I've sat with it for a while, and I said in our next episode, I've already my knee jerk reaction was I need to know if there's an S on the back of that cape. Please stand up. Once you get that boot on, good sir, please stand up and turn around. Do the twirl for us, and let me just check on that S and see if it's there. But now that it's been a few days, and it kind of just unceremoniously dropped, like there was no, Superman Day, or as you referred to it, Greek Orthodox Superman Day, was just a couple weeks ago, and nothing there, and then this just kind of dropped out of the, no pun intended, the sky on us a couple days ago. I'm like, okay, that's good. I need to see it in the sunshine. I need to see if there's an S on the back of that. But okay, where's Rachel? I would like to see Lois now. I would like to see Lois. Where's our Lois and Clark photo? Please and thank you. Like, I don't want to be greedy, but but you give me that. If you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want to see Lois and Clark. I want to see what their not even wardrobe, but just what they're bringing to the table looks like now.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting that I realize that to a certain extent, and it's not a hipster thing. I'm just more, I guess, forgiving of things because I let so much go about 14 years ago about getting so bound up, and I've had my tantrums. I walked away in a huff when they revealed the identity in the comics.
Yeah,
as
you should.
I don't know if I'll ever forgive that. Which is a mature way of handling it, by the way.
That is a standard operating procedure.
But when they had the reveal for Cavill's costume, for example, and Steve Eunice of the Superman homepage, and I were doing at that point Radio KAL live.
Oh yeah,
through Blog Talk Radio. And I remember us going over that thing like it was the Zapruder film. I mean,
absolutely.
Just like back and to the left.
Enhance.
Back and to the left.
Yes.
And I remember like all the people freaking out about it. Like, does he have trunks? Does he have trunks?
Right.
And I looked at and I saw all the reactions to this one. And I don't begrudge anybody their feelings. I mean, everybody comes at this character with their own set of issues and their own, I don't want to say prejudices, because prejudice is kind of a loaded term, but they have what in their head what they want to see from Superman. And
I don't think anybody, even if you grew up watching the exact same thing, your introduction to Superman was not the same as anybody else's. Like, there's no two people that had the exact same avenue, because whatever they saw second was different than what anybody else saw second. So they've woven that tapestry in their heads in their own way.
Having said that, I am fascinated that what some people seem to have wanted is, like, they want this, which is behind me, to come right onto the screen.
Sure.
And this doesn't work on the screen.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, what about Christopher Reeve? I love Christopher Reeve. I love those films. That costume would not work today.
No, you can't walk out on 2025 on screen wearing that. And I hate to say be taken seriously, but it doesn't, it won't work in a modern day film.
And everyone was like, well, what about the Routh costume from Crisis? And I pointed that, I was like, yeah, that, or the Fleischer outfit. That's not spandex. Neither one of those were spandex.
Right.
Those are a material that have a specific look and texture to it, because watch the George Reeves television series on an HD television. Like pop that up.
Yeah.
And see how weird the costume looks sometimes.
It's pajamas.
I think the thing that I like about it the most is that it looks like a uniform.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a costume. It looks like something somebody would wear. And I love the fact that the trunk seemed to be back. You got a big old yellow belt, which was cool. The cape seems to be a very good length. Ever since I was telling this to my wife the other day, I love my Superpowers Superman figure from when I was a kid. I played with that figure. I have one. I have two actually. So one that I can put in my Supermobile, and one that stands outside of it. Even as like a 10-year-old kid, I was like, that cape's too short.
Yeah.
It drove me crazy.
Yeah. And I saw a lot of people hoping, and I don't know if it's just a love for a certain generation's their opinion on All-Star Superman, but I saw a lot of want for that shorter cape.
It would not look good on film.
I don't think it really would either. I really think you would think you want it, and then you see it, and you're like, that doesn't look right at all.
The final thing that, as I've seen the fallout from it, is we have to. One of the things that I've learned in the past couple of years, as over the past 3 or 4 or 5 years, a new generation of Superman podcasters have come into the fold. And I realized, back in 2022, that I wasn't paying attention to that, and I needed to.
Yeah.
If I'm going to still be part of the conversation, I need to know who the players are.
Sure.
So I started listening to the shows. I started following the guys on social media. It turns out a couple of them were listeners from Crisis to Crisis, which was kind of nice.
There you go.
So there's a familiarity there. So I don't, it's not like I'm just coming in cold, but the thing that I've discovered from that generation is that they came up in the 90s, and a lot of them, for their first Superman was Dean Cain, and they loved that show.
Sure.
So what I've basically decided, which is the most brilliant of realizations, I realize, is that every 10 years it's going to come around. I bet you anything next year we're going to be hit, or 2026 we're going to be hit with a deluge of how Superman Returns was a brilliant Superman film, and everybody misinterpreted it. It was like this, and it's starting to happen. I'm seeing it on social media, and I'm like, oh, so we're at this point in the conversation.
I'm happy to lead that intervention. Come, my followers, come, my disciples. Gather round and let me teach you the parable.
I mean, I don't have to tell you or your listeners this, look at how Smallville, the worm has turned back to that being one of the greatest things ever.
Good pun for today's episode, by the way.
It's interesting to me because back in 2021, I sent you the picture. I got to moderate a Smallville panel at DragonCon.
Yeah.
So, it had Tom and Sam Witwer and Laura Vandervoort and Michael Rosenbaum. I mean, you don't moderate Michael Rosenbaum, by the way.
No.
You get out of the way and just watch that happen.
Yeah.
All lovely people, by the way. Nicest people you could talk to. I had a really nice conversation with Tom and Laura on the last day, which was funny because I was telling him it's weird that 20 years ago I was at DragonCon waiting for Smallville to hit, and now it's 20 years later, and I'm standing in front of Superman from Smallville, and he looks at me. He goes, "What was that like?" And I'm like, "Have you never asked this question of a fan before?" So, but what I realized and to be fair, Tom and Michael Rosenbaum are really good at keeping the flame alive.
Sure, they are.
There's some great marketing going on there. But what I discovered is that everyone has their Superman, their Clark Kent.
Yeah.
And we can all have a healthy debate on the pros and cons of all of them. I'm 48 at this point. I have been into Superman since I was, as a kid, but I've been seriously into it starting when I was 11. So we're talking 37 years. And my Superman now is Tyler Hoechlin.
Yeah.
That is when I saw him on that first episode, the first episode of the second season of Supergirl, I saw the Superman that lives in my head on the screen for the first time. And I was just like, I didn't know that was even possible. But everybody comes to this character differently. And the costume is out there. It is meant to be judged. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that everybody has to be full of rainbows and unicorns and that we all have to get along. I get everyone's problems. I think some of the jokes are a little tired already, and it's been 4 days.
I've seen about 27 different shoe store memes. Like, I keep seeing a shoe store meme, but it's not the same shoe store meme. But in 10, 15 years, there's going to be a bunch of 20 and 30-somethings that are going to be like, David is their Superman. Yeah. This was their introduction to the character. So that's another reason I have a more zen approach to all of this, is just like, a friend of mine once defined zen as you when you're starting out on the journey. It's just like, I like to watch crap blow up in movies. Yeah. And then, you start on your journey and you watch a bunch of movies and you read books about it and you learn the mechanics of it. And on the other end of it, you're like, I just like to watch crap blow up in movies. And that's kind of where I am with Superman. I like Superman. I'm going to have problems with everything. Nothing is ever going to be perfect for everybody. Right.
But what I can do, and now if it was terrible, I would say it was terrible. I just don't think it is.
I agree.
But I have always found something to like about any particular iteration of the character. Is this the worst costume we've ever gotten? No. I think the Superman Returns costume is one of the worst movie Superman costumes ever. I think it's one of the most disproportionate version of that costume. And I'm glad you had texture. You did not need to put S on those boots. On the soles of those boots when no one was going to see it, unless you have that wallpaper.
But the footprints,
like if Superman was here, how do you know?
Yeah,
well, look
God,
at the ground, Johnny.
Look, tracks.
So I mean, is it as good as Cavill's first costume? I think it's on par with that. Is it better than Dean Cain's shoulder pads costume? Ooh. I mean, if we're going to have this conversation, we're going to get into the weeds about it.
Exactly. There's too many different iterations to traverse over. I'm not going to cut out you dissing the return suit. I'll leave it in the show. It hurts me, but I'll leave it in the show.
That's okay. No,
I'm kidding. And
everybody,
I get why.
I welcome all comers.
I get why people don't like that. I'm blinded by where I was in my life when that movie came out, and how it affected me, and I got to work on the sequel for a very short amount of time, and that didn't ultimately happen. So it's a very personal film to me. I think the Warner Brothers logo should always be Casablanca mixed with the Williams theme as time goes by. With that should be the Warner Brothers theme. I'm sorry, I don't understand why you don't use that for every opening introduction. So but I fully understand why people don't like it. Like I never hear somebody talk bad about it, and I want to be like, what's wrong with you? Like, no, I fully understand that it's not ideal at all, but it is special to me, and that's, I think that just harkens back to what you were saying a minute ago. Everybody grew up with their own thing and have their own thing. Ralph is not my Superman. I mean, I love him. I dearly love him. I think he got a horrible, luck of the draw. I think
Man was robbed, and
I think Cavill got a bad luck of the draw too. With what happened to him. I mean, it's I like that the Superman curse now is something more like that. That it is not that I believe the Superman.
You just
curse,
don't get a decent. You just don't get the Superman film you wanted to make. You
get to be Superman, but it's just not quite what you thought it was going to be like.
And that's the thing too. It's just like, I heard over the last couple of days a lot of people taking shots at Hecklin's first costume on Supergirl with the clasps. And
the fruit roll-up cape.
The fruit roll. It did look like
that's how I have referred to it for years. It's how I will always refer to it. It looks like a giant thing of fruit roll-up coming out of his shoulder pads.
But I'm telling you right now, I do not feel bad admitting to this. A buddy of mine slipped me his screener copy before that first episode of the second season of Supergirl hit. He goes, "You need to see this."
Yeah, I know exactly what you're about to say.
I'm sitting on my couch on my iPad watching it, and I heard that music, and I saw him running through that thing, and I swear to God, I teared up.
Yeah.
Because we have to remember, this is 2016, and yes, by this point, Rebirth is in full effect in the comics, but that was a low point for Superman. Even with BVS being part of the conversation, for me as a Superman fan, I was not seeing what I wanted to see in anything.
Right.
And suddenly on this show, I'm like, oh my God, finally something for me.
Yes.
And for my type of fan. So I will forgive the fruit roll-up cape and the clasps.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm always like, that's a lot of me with Returns. It's like, I know we had Smallville. What else did we have? You had 13 13 different Batman cartoons going on, but we can't have anything Superman. And I mean, Returns was just. I've told this joke, I think, on this show before. The way, and I think you touched on this a minute ago, talking about how tastes change. You loved explosions, and now you move on. When I was a kid, Back to the Future 2 was my favorite Back to the Future. It was the future. It was the hoverboards. It was all that stuff. And then I grew up a little bit, and I was like, no, it's one. That was stupid to think 2 was the best one. It's one. One's the best one. And now at the end of my life, I'm like, nope, it's 3. I love 3. I don't know why. 3 is the most personal, emotional journey of all of them. I love 3 the most, and maybe if I get to live longer, maybe I'll come back around again, and 2 will be my favorite. But tastes change, times change, and I can get why somebody wouldn't like Hecklin's first costume or Ralph's Returns costume or anything. But then I also get that glee of, I remember the first reveal after the Superman and Lois announcement that it was coming of Hecklin's next costume, and when Ralph got to have his next costume, when he got to have Crisis, and that enjoyment, fulfillment for there. My thing also with the David suit is like, when's the last time we had a Superman? Not even a Superman. When's the last time we had a superhero film where all the characters or all the costumed characters still had the same costume on at the end of the film that they did at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
We may have a totally different suit by the end of the movie for all we know.
It's funny because the thing that I like about the fact that they're starting this particular iteration not at the origin point. We're not seeing where, they've said it's like year 2 or something like that. We're not getting a reiteration of the origin. If they're smart, they'll do it like they did it in the 2008 Incredible Hulk film, where it's like during the opening credits, you see like the planet exploding. Or I guess the beginning of Superman 2.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, lengthwise is not the longest version of the Superman theme, and yet feels like it is. Like you get to the end, it's
so long.
It's like at the end, I did a bit on Views from Longbox like 15 years ago, where I'm playing it and I'm like, guys, I gotta go pick up the kids. We've got to get going on with this.
Well, I make so many allusions to and with the theatrical release just happening the other day, or re-release of Spider-Man 2. Alan Miles having done an early draft, and so many things that they pulled from Superman 2 and that Raimi pulled from Superman 2 and put in that movie, and that's one of those things. The opening title, granted it's hand drawn, but being flashbacks to the first film in the same way that Superman 2 kind of caught you up with the events of Superman the movie, and both of those sequences just seem to go on forever.
Two things. One, do not get me talking on how the first 3 Spider-Man films are exactly like the first 3 Superman.
Absolutely.
We could spend like a couple hours, breaking it down.
Same.
But for me, it seems like, and to a certain extent, I don't blame Smallville for this, but there was a perception in like a lot of these superhero films, especially the ones from like the past 10 years or so, where like Birds of Prey is a great example. Birds of Prey, for those of you that haven't seen it, and I hope I'm not spoiling a film from, like 4 or 5 years ago. At the end,
that just shows you where my brain is, because I was thinking WB 2003 when you said it.
Yeah. Superior, maybe.
Discuss.
But at the end of that film, like all of the characters have new costumes, and they're closer to the comic book iterations of those costumes. And it seems like, and I'm not trying to draw the attention of the Snyder fans here or disparage them, but it seems like whenever you heard Snyder talking about it, it was always like, "Oh, we're gonna get to the Superman that you're more familiar with. We're just gonna do this." And it seems like that's the thing that people want to do. They don't want to do the thing. They want to do the thing that gets to the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Smallville, I think, is a big part of that conversation. But then again, there was a point where I did not like Smallville all that much.
Sure.
I have come around on that.
Yeah. I remember the early days. I remember discussions with you.
For a variety of reasons. One, it's now been 20 years since the show came on, and over 20 years since the show went off, or over 10 years since the show went off the air. And a lot's happened since then. Yeah. But also, just the place it has, I cannot argue at all the footprint that it left in Superman's legacy, and how many people came to the character through Smallville. But also, it's funny, a lot of the complaints people have, I'm like, guys, okay, yeah, it's a Superman show, but it was also a young adult
like you had to really understand what the WB, what television was like. I mean, if you're not, I get old man about it, because I see, Tim sends me stuff from the Twitter, and it's like, people bashing it. I'm like, but you're 21 years old.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what it was like then. Like, I'm not, like, patting it on the back, because, there was some horrible things done in terms of acting and, it's in some instances, and effects and stuff like that. But it was 2001. We were weeks after watching The Towers fall when that show premiered. Like, I mean, it was just the in the zeitgeist, and it was just a different world then from it is now. It's the same thing when I see people bashing on Burn. You know, you and I've talked about that. It's just like, you weren't there. Like, you don't. I hate to say you don't get to talk about it because you weren't there, but I mean, I think you need to lend yourself a little bit more to the open world of things were different.
Do not speak of the old magic. I was there when it was written.
Exactly.
Well, the thing is that, especially for Smallville specifically, I think it's really easy to forget post, and I'm going to say post 2008, because I think 2008 is where culture as a whole turned. From like 2000 to 2008, superhero films were doing better and the genre was back, but it seemed like between Dark Knight and Iron Man, a flip switched in the zeitgeist. Mm-hmm. And suddenly this thing was more acceptable and brought in a larger conversation. Also, I've said this 1,000 times to sound like an old man. There weren't, back in 2001, if you wanted to talk about Smallville, you had to go to like a message board. You had to create an account, and you had to know that message boards existed. And now with social media, the conversation is on the public square. So it's a completely different dynamic. But I think what people need to, who are hypercritical of the show, have to remember is, in 2001, the X-Men film notwithstanding, the superhero genre was dead. Mm-hmm. No one wanted to touch it. It wasn't until Spider-Man that in 2002 that the world really woke up. Yeah. And Hollywood was just like, oh, there's money to be made here. Yeah. Smallville was exactly what it needed to be at the time. And if you look, and it's exactly like the CW verse, which it just amuses me that Arrow is the first show from that. Uh-huh. And it was deadly serious, no costumes, no powers. And on the other end of that, Oliver Queen is the Spectre. So it's just like, guys, and it's the same with Smallville. No flights, no tights. By the last season, we've had the JSA on the show.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you watched, I don't know, Hourglass from season 1, and then watched a season 9 episode, you'd be like, "What the hell? Like, what happened? Wow. What happened here? Something happened here."
It's just like, did a lot happen to Clark? And the answer is yes. At the end of every season.
Yes. Every character of that show should have been like, shit, something's about to go down. No May came and went without something.
Oh yeah, and it was always like, and it's funny because on the show I do with my friends Allison and Bethany, who has recently changed their name, so I feel bad saying that now. But we talk about a lot about Superman and Lois. The comparisons to Smallville are there because it's a Superman show and it's set in Smallville. It's kind of hard to not go, well, how is this? But I'm like, I kind of like the fact that now at the end of a season, it doesn't, like the fact that season 3 ended on a cliffhanger. I'm like, wow, this is familiar. Yeah. This feels like Clark being enveloped in a light and trapped in the caves.
Let me get on Krypton site and spend the next 6 hours combing the desert.
And that is the thing in talking in general, kind of about the episodes we're going to be talking about today. Like, I had to put myself in a completely different mindset going back into these because I haven't watched the second season in a long time. Yeah. It's been about 7 or 8 years since I've tried to comb through it. And what I discovered is the older I get, the less patience I have for the high school stuff. Not because I'm an old man and I don't want to see these kids today with their hula hoops and their Dan Fogelberg records and their MTV video games. What it is,
with
though,
your
is
Steely Dan.
Yeah. This is so far away from my current life experience.
Yeah.
And there are things being presented here that make me feel a little squeamish.
Yeah.
Because it's directed at a very specific audience, and I'm no longer that audience.
You're not. And you were, to be fair, you were older than the show when it came out. I was right in line with them.
Yeah.
Not exactly. I'm older, but, well, I mean, they were much older. Tom was, 43 in season 1? No, I'm just kidding.
Tom is a year younger than I am. He was the first Clark Kent that was younger than me.
Yeah. So, and that's how I felt about David. David's my first, because I think Tyler and I are the same age. I can't remember. Do you know how Tyler is off the top of your head?
No, but okay. I did recently watch Road to Perdition and saw Baby Tyler as Tom Hanks' son.
Yeah.
By the way, that guy was intense from the beginning.
That guy can act. He can act.
Like he's hanging in there with Paul Newman and Tom Hanks as a teenager. More power to you, sir.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. David's younger by like almost, I think, a decade than me, and that's weird to me. But I was in high school, a little older, but I was in high school when these episodes were airing, so there's a bit of nostalgia there for me, getting home on a Wednesday night it's at one point it was on every night of the week throughout the 10-year run, but I literally grew up with them, so in that same regard. So I don't have that as much, but I do, but I guess I kind of do at the same time because it makes me feel old watching it now. Knowing where especially when I can remember what I was doing or where I was sitting when a specific episode aired. More often than not, the premieres and the finales, but there's some individual ones where I'm like, I know where I was and what I was doing. And it's
okay. At some point, a Lifehouse song is going to play, and your Manchurian Candidate chip in your head is going to activate, and you're gonna go like murder somebody. But it's okay because it's not your fault.
I said something to Steve the other night, and he activated like the Winter Soldier. What was it? I said television without pity. And he he woke up because we had some beef with them at some point on Shoe. But that's a good segue to talk about today's episodes, and two that I really don't think I've revisited since the show ended. I forgot how much I really enjoyed Suspect. It's a great little whodunit episode. Rush, I remember a lot more vividly, but is a lot more cringy now. Watching it, I was like, this isn't what the. I think at the time I was like, this is the better episode, and now at the end of my life, I'm like, no, Suspect is a much better episode than.
They are really the alpha and omega of the non. Mythology episodes.
I mean, it's really the grab bag you would get from Smallville. You would have an episode like that immediately followed by an episode like that. Like there were 2 tiers of episodes levels, and this is what you would get. You'd get a zero or a Suspect, or you'd get a Rush or a Redux or something. Thirst, yeah, exactly.
I'll never forgive Thirst. By the way, I will never forgive that episode.
There's much worse episodes than Thirst. Come on.
True. And I can't. And again, this is the thing that I don't know why I'm sitting on it. Maybe this will be the thing that makes me finally sit down and start pouring through it. I still haven't seen any of season 7.
Really?
Like I've seen all of 1 to 6. I have seen all of.
How did that happen?
10. It was so.
I don't think I knew that.
At the time period, I wasn't watching the show. And there was the writer's strike, so there was, there was a lot distracting me at the time. And what had happened was, I got to the finale in 2011, which I watched because I felt like I had to. I was there when it began.
Sure.
Even though I haven't followed it religiously, I'm going to be there when it ends. And because of that, my Winter Soldier chip got flipped. And I immediately went and ordered seasons 8 and 9. And then when 10 came out, I bought 10. And my wife went through them. And then I realized, I don't have 7. And we had just finished it. And 7 came in the mail. I'm like, you want to watch it? She's like, no. I'm done for a little while. I have given you 3 seasons of this. We are going to take a break, and we just never got back to it.
So let me catch you up. No,
no, I know what happened.
Yeah.
It was the thing about meeting Laura Vandervoort that I felt really bad about. I was just like,
I didn't watch your season.
It wasn't anything personal. You seemed like a lovely woman.
Seven took a lot of chances, and of course we said goodbye to a lot of people at the end of 7. And it was plagued by the writer's strike. It was like a lot of shows were, at that time, heroes. And I look back a lot more fondly on 7 than I did as it was airing. That's another thing. Is as I've gotten older, I'm like my favorite to least favorite season rankings have changed over the years. So
it's funny though. I haven't picked up the Blu-ray set yet, but I'm going to, especially hearing all these problems people are having with Warner Brothers discs from 2006 to 2009.
Yeah.
But when I look at my shelf, it's really funny that my DVD collection reflects the show. Like all seasons 1 through 4 look one way, seasons 5 and 6 and 7 look another way, and then 8, 9, and 10 have a completely different trade dress too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is kind of fascinating.
Well, and my thing with the seasons is especially when they would come out in the summer between seasons, and I would tape it on VHS, but I mean, why would you want to? I mean, DVD was still in its. I mean, I remember the day I bought the first DVD player that was available in my town, like, in 98. Yeah, 98. And it was, like $900, and it did nothing. And so, when you got that crisp digital copy over the summer, you poured into it. But those original cases, which are out of my reach right now, but behind me, by the time season 3 premiered, season 2, the glue on the spine had already come out. Like they were falling apart because I was opening, and that was my Bible. I was researching the Word. I was opening the Bible every day, and it was showing the wear on them. So, and now they don't even slide in there at all. Hardly. I mean, I've got my original ones, but once they re-released them in the slimmer spine, I went and bought those, and then Blu-ray, and then complete Blu-ray. I feel like I've got... Superman the movie is probably the DVD I own the most versions of, if not Back to the Future. I feel like I have at least 13 different versions of Superman the movie between DVD and Blu-ray.
I got the 2001... The 2001 release of Superman the movie, and that box set, by the way, was why I bought a DVD player in 2001.
The metal tin...
No. This is the 2001.
Yes.
That was in the silver box with the red S.
Yep. I know what you're mean.
I remember the day I was on Superman Cinema, supermancinema.co.uk.
There you go. I remember that.
And they announced it. I looked at Rachel, and we were just dating at the time, and I'm like, we need to go buy a DVD player like right now. I mean, the movie's not coming out for 6 months, but we're going right now to Walmart to buy a DVD player because I need to be ready.
Got to be ready for that. Yeah, I feel like I should count that because it would probably be ridiculous how many versions I do own, because I have that set, and then I have the cardboard, the clip from the 2001 ones, and all the way up through Blu-ray and now 4K. Yeah, I've probably owned a bunch of different ones. But yeah, saying that this is season 2 was definitely a set I poured through going into season 3. So I do remember that episodes from that, but I don't think I've revisited these. And I watched something like Suspect now, which is a good episode.
Yes,
especially for its early time period in the show, it was a really good episode. And I'm like, I know how dead the show stops with this Henry Small arc. I remember it at the time, and I'm like, why didn't they just have Henry Small kill Lionel? We could have wrapped this up a whole lot quicker. Why did we have Sheriff Ethan come out of nowhere and kill Lionel? Why didn't you have Henry Small do it? That would have been much easier.
The thing about Suspect is one of those really good episodes that is for people who have been following the show from day one.
Yeah.
because, if you didn't see the episode earlier in the season where you found out that Lionel was the one that helped the Kents get the adoption papers for Clark, then that whole dynamic doesn't work. You have to be invested in that to get to here. Having said that, the mystery of this episode is handled so well. Mm-hmm. And the various, what could have happened,
Here's what could have happened. Yeah, here's how it could have happened.
It's suddenly Tim Curry's coming out telling you the entire plot of the episode at the end, which is funny because there's Michael McKean.
Exactly.
But to get really nerdy, Leslie Ann Warren, who was Lois Lane on the Broadway special from 1975,
Absolutely.
which has to be seen to be believed.
I have that on DVD as well. A horrible copy of it on DVD. Who also auditioned for 78 Lois. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the thing that I love about this episode is it reminds me all of the things that I loved about the show. Mm-hmm. John Schneider, his Jonathan, was probably the most taciturn Jonathan. I mean, everyone gives Kevin Costner's Jonathan a hard time. Go back and watch Smallville, y'all. There was a lot of times where he was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Well, no, and there was always that you need to go take care of this. But what I loved about this one specifically is that it goes to the heart of everything that had been happening in the season thus far between Jonathan, Martha, and Lionel.
Yes, especially coming off the heels of Insurgents, which is probably my favorite episode of the series the week before.
Mm-hmm. And that one, man, I remember that episode airing and me just being riveted to the freaking screen.
Right.
Like I can't. And the funny thing is that the guy that plays the lead hostage taker in that is his role in every other thing I've seen that actor in.
Yep. Exactly right.
The reason why it works so well is that I was totally bought into all of the different interpersonal dynamics that were going on through the episode. You had the problems with Lex and Lionel, which were always there, but they were more specific now because this is the season Lex was trying to have his own company for a little while. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you had his assistant who he had issues with, and that that didn't come out completely out of nowhere. But it's not like that. It's not like that dude had been there from episode 1.
Yeah.
So, but to me, it was really the dynamics between Jonathan, Martha, and Lionel, and being invested in that, and the fact that Clark. And I gotta admit, the final scene, I was just like, okay, maybe this is a little too cute. Clark and Pete playing the Hardy Boys, was fantastic, and I loved it.
Yeah, even got a Dukes of Hazzard style, jump and crash in this one, and then next week, Pete's got a totally new car, different color, totally same but different color.
I have said for years the one job that I would not want to have in this universe of Smallville is insurance adjuster.
Absolutely. I think I did the meme. It went viral on Reddit. The car salesman talking to the guy. You could do so many things with this thing. It's the truck in the background. You can get so many flips out of this baby. So much so that we have tallies on the show. And I was going to tell Steve today with Suspect, I think he needs to add one to the list. We may have to go back and look. We watched Lex's window for the Veritas symbol, which we know doesn't show up until toward the end of closer to the end of the series with the retcon. But we still watch the window to see if the the Veritas watch, as Steve calls it, it's not there. And how many wrecks are in an episode? I think what needs to be added now is how many people are shot and or killed in Lex's office throughout the course of the series. I get that the feng shui of your office calls for glass tabletops. It never works out well, Lex. There's never a time where you bring in the next one. It's like is it a Naked Gun? What movie is it where it may be wrongfully accused. I've got Leslie Nielsen on the brain. It must be wrongfully accused, where the guys are carrying the pane of glass to put in somewhere, and he crashes through it, and then he stumbles back in frame, and there's two more guys carrying another pane of glass, and he crashes through that one again. It never ends well for you, Lex. You should probably invest in some sort of harder material.
And I love that this one. The Suspect is really kind of the quintessential seasons 1 through 4 episode of Smallville. Problems between Jonathan and Lionel, check.
Mm-hmm.
Clark suspecting Lex at some point, but then being kind of cool with him by the end of the episode, check.
Yeah.
Pete doing something kind of maybe not the smartest thing. In this case, helping Clark out because he got his car blown up. Something wildly inappropriate happening. Like, not only did they try to run them off the road with a semi, but the dude pops out with a rifle
with
and
a ski
blows
mask
up the car.
on. You were driving an 18-wheeler with a ski mask on? That's not safe. Don't do that.
And you realize that to a certain extent, you just buy into it because that's the show. It's not reality. This isn't what would happen. Everything's ramped up to 11. I also liked that it gave kind of a more kind of organic feeling to the history of Smallville, that Ethan and the bartender and Jonathan all went to school together.
Right.
So there's a real personal connection. Sheriff Ethan was never one of those characters that I was just like, oh, thank God, Sheriff Ethan's in the episode.
Thank God he's going to save the day.
But he was there, like, throughout the entire, enough that, you cared that it was him at the end. But he totally sold out one of his best friends.
For nothing.
For Lionel Luthor.
For Lionel. It comes out of nowhere. That's why I'm like, just have Henry Small, have Patrick Cassidy kill him, and we could have gotten through this subplot a whole lot faster.
When Henry Small popped up, I'm like, oh yeah, that happened.
Oh, that's the thing. So that's what happened last week. So we did, Steve and I did Insurgents, and the guy that started, Tucker, that started Shoe with me back 19 years ago, it's his favorite episode as well. And when we were originally doing tests for what would become Starkville's House of L, Insurgents was the first thing we did. We were doing video. YouTube was in its infancy and podcasting wasn't really a thing, and that's what we were originally trying to hand at. So I wanted it to be all three of us to talk. And excuse me. And I love that episode so much. There's two scenes about Henry Small in that episode. They're not very long scenes, but they just kind of stop the episode dead, and I've just blocked them from my memory of that episode completely upon rewatch. They don't even happen as far as I'm concerned. Because it's like, oh yeah, that's what they were giving Kristen.
Oh yeah, we tried to do daddy issues with Lana, and you can really kind of tell when the writers have run out of gas on an idea.
Yeah.
Because in Smallville, it never comes to like a truly satisfying conclusion. It's either an abrupt stop or it just goes away. There is no...
And is never mentioned again.
There is... Like were we talking about Henry Small in season 4 or season 5 or anything with Lana?
You had long forgotten him. Just like Lex having a brother. Frank and Robin and I did Prodigal, which comes after these two episodes we're discussing. That's like... They take great care by the end of the episode to say he is in Lex's protection and no harm will ever come to him. Well, he's protected him so well that we never even hear of the character again. In fact, by the time Tess comes around, there's no discussion of there being another Luthor sibling whatsoever.
Yeah, and my God, the guy playing him was came from the WB Young Actor Factory.
Yeah, they pulled the lever and he just Paul Wesley just came out. Go ahead.
Oh. I was waiting for you.
No, you're good.
We're being so polite to each other. No, but it's just like Henry Small was one of those things where I used to be really hard on Lana as a character, and to a certain extent, I still am. But it's nothing to do with Lana as a character, and it's nothing to do with Kristen Crook as a performer. They just did weird things with her in the writing room.
They just didn't know. Yeah, I have always said the same thing. I have the utmost respect for Kristen. Whenever I say anything bad about Lana, it is not a reflection on Kristen whatsoever. It's a reflection on, more often than not, the dialogue given to her, but the storylines, because they just didn't know what to do with her. You tried to almost get them together, but you couldn't get them together, so you drag it out so long, so she's got to have something else to do while she's pining for him, and then you throw like an episode like Rush into the mix, and that just sets them back. That's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, which is what Clark and Lana always were throughout the series: 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I forgot that at the beginning of this episode with Lionel, when he is shot, we've discussed in the last episode when Lionel begins to regain his sight, and I say in Insurgents he's beginning to. I don't think he's fully got it back, but I think he's, and this kind of cements that he's alone, and I mean, I guess why would you have lights on in the Luthor Mansion while a storm's happening? That just doesn't fit the vibe at all. But B, if he's in there and blind anyway, he doesn't know if the lights are on or not. But he's reading, or he's got I forget what those are called, because it's not Braille, but it's one of those readers that's actually going over the letters and reading it aloud to him. Nietzsche too, wasn't it? Isn't that what he was reading? I believe. But the
writers were, if nothing, but I have a friend who used to say things are subtle.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But he's talking to either his assistant or pilot or whatever about heading back to Metropolis, packing everything up, and that Martha would not be joining him because she doesn't work for him. After just the episode Insurgents, the end of it, they discuss maybe you need to be working for Lionel now that we know that he's. Now that we know that he's spying on Clark, that he's got all this information on Clark, maybe we need to give them one too, and you keep an eye on Lionel. But that didn't last very long. I
think oddly enough, I think the explanation for that is the watch. I think even though they had the best of intentions with that, I think her getting that watch and Jonathan finding it, And like he says, it's just like, it reminds me of all the things I couldn't give you.
Right.
And it's funny because Jonathan never really seemed to be a big material things kind of guy.
Yeah.
I mean, look in Red when Clark, has like the video game system and the big screen TV, and for some reason the jet ski.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need that in Smallville, Kansas.
Up in the loft. You picked it up and took it up in the... Why?
But they live kind of simply, and they're constantly, like in Rush, they're discussing finances and stuff. So it's interesting to see, but it didn't feel like out of character for him either. Like he had this moment of like, okay, I'm done with Lionel Luthor, I'm done with everything, I'm going to go have a confrontation with this guy. And that's unfortunately going to make me look really, really guilty.
Yeah.
When he gets shot.
And I remembered as soon as Lionel said the line, I was like, damn, that's a good line. I forgot about that line. The Whitman sampler. It would be like you giving her a Whitman sampler. It's like, damn, that's cold, Lionel. That is a cold-ass line. Jeez.
And it's only because of how John Glover delivers every single line pitch perfect. There is not a single performance in that entire series, even going back to the pilot where he's just more of a side character than anything else, where he isn't like 100%.
Well, I mean,
that character.
The flip side of that is go to like a season, I guess 7, but or also 10 when he's playing Earth 2 Lionel. These are far more on the front end, far more flowery. I mean, just the things he's saying. Of course, he's an accomplished Broadway Shakespearean actor. He's classically trained. Glover's giving everything he can, and these are quippy back and forth. Whitman sampler. Lines like that are just he does so well. And then you get to fast forward 7-8 years, and it's like the Kryptonian tech that brought you here. He's saying stuff like that is so far removed from the dialogue he had in season 1 and 2, and he's still giving it 1,000%. I mean, even falling over that banister, like just the death scene or the wounded scene of reaction he is stellar. I forgot that, and as soon as I saw him, I remembered that the bartender, who was originally Gabe Sullivan on the show before I think he was recast, is the mayor of Smallville in Superman and Lois.
See, I didn't clock that. I feel kind of bad. Though that doesn't blow my mind as much as the guy that
Jeremy Creek.
That pulled the gun on Lois flashed the gun and punched Jonathan was the Crow Kid.
Was the original Freak of the Week. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And that just proves one thing. Canada has a very specific acting pool.
Vancouver, baby. You can't walk down the street without being like, I saw you on, something. When they find his dead body in the freezer and Clark opens it, I was like, I don't remember kryptonite. How does that work? And I was like, oh, that's just a green light. Because it's the same lighting effect that they give kryptonite. And I was like, I don't remember kryptonite being used here. How does that tie in? It doesn't. Just some notes here that I jotted down. I could not remember Sheriff Ethan's full name because they never say it in the series. They never once say his name. I don't even know if you could see it on a badge at any point in the series. It's Ethan Miller. And I wonder if our friend Craig Byrne did not actually name him because I believe, I think in the books he was named, but I believe the Smallville Ledger website was in the Wayback Machine of 2001, 2002. I think that was the only place that named him, but otherwise just everybody called him either Sheriff or Jonathan, Sheriff Ethan, or Ethan. Martha just calls him Ethan. He was, at 14 episodes, Ethan was the single most frequently seen recurring character of the first 2 seasons. Overall, he's the 5th most frequently seen recurring character in the series after Jor-El. And, other people, but... So, that betrayal just kind of comes out of left field. It works. It's a good episode. I like it. But again, after having to sit through all these Henry Small episodes, I'm like, we could have gotten rid of him so much easier. And fixed all the problems. Next up is Rush, the 35th episode of the series, written by Todd Slavkin and Darren Swimmer, who would go on to do the thankless job of show running in season 8 after Alan Miles left the show. This is one of their early ones after Pete and Chloe are infected by a parasitic worm. It turns them into thrill-seeking daredevils, and Pete uses red kryptonite to get Clark to join them on a dangerous adventure. Really? Dangerous adventure? Not only does Clark show off his powers, but he kisses Chloe in front of a stunned Lana. I would argue Chloe kissed Clark in front of a stunned Lana, because thankfully the red kryptonite has fallen out of his shirt once he becomes shirtless in that episode, and they're not dry humping in the Talon when Lana walks in, because that would have been a little bit more difficult to explain. Steve always likes to talk about the idiot that jumped off the scaffolding to the cave in this episode, and I'm always like, yeah, I remember that. And then I watched it again. I was like, oh no, now I do remember that. That was stupid. That was a stupid kid.
Well, to be fair, he was infected with a parasite.
Yeah.
And
they saw
something was up because he just came up and started making out with Chloe, and then just like, you're so hot. And I'm like, teenagers.
Chloe kisses 3 people.
What are you going to do?
Chloe kisses 3 people in this episode. Yeah, this is our Star Trek II Wrath of the Khan of the episode. Not in terms of quality, but just in terms of... I'm sorry, you good there? I got you.
The Smallville Caves. There's life, a fair chance.
Genesis! I guess I remember the red kryptonite. I kind of forget about the worms, because you don't ever really even get a good look at them, except for through Clark's X-ray vision, I guess. If you had asked me weeks ago what happens, how did Pete and Chloe get infected in Rush, I'd be like, okay, hold on, let me think of which one Rush is, and then I would say, did they get infected by red kryptonite? No, but this is the iconic, because that's what makes me think of the iconic line, in your world, green means stop, red means go. That Pete does. What a fantastic Sam Jones, iconic Sam Jones delivery in that one. What is your memory of this one? Do you remember it originally airing?
I remember it not being one of my favorites of season 2. Season 2 was interesting because that was after December of that year. I was engaged. That was so everything on the back end of season 2 was mixed with memories of getting ready for a wedding in December of 2003.
Mm-hmm.
What I remember is, people are acting weird and Clark has to deal with it. Back then, watching it now, I'm like, I feel really squidgy watching this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to come out and say it. I do not need to see the representation of a 16-year-old girl sucking on a lollipop seductively. I don't. I get that the audience was mainly probably that age, so it's not like
we were.
It's not like too purient, but as an adult man, I'm like, is Chris Hansen about to come in?
When did this episode air? February 4th, 2003. I was 18, about to turn 19. Is that right? Yeah. So, yeah. No, you're right. Even now, and even though she was older than that at the time, I'm like, yeah, that's
that doesn't make it better. It's like Benson and Stabler about to kick down my door because I'm watching this scene.
Ice-T, what are you doing here?
This is one of those episodes that it is the B plot that is actually more important than the A plot.
Yeah.
Because Lex hiring the guy to come look at the glyphs, the guy who, by the way, would go on to be in Watchmen.
Yes.
And was in an episode of Lois and Clark in season 3. He was in the episode with the Noah's Ark guy. They were.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. I forgot he was in that.
And I liked all that, like all the stuff to do with the caves, and like Lex standing up for himself at the end, and Clark getting kind of in trouble because he's spending so much time in the caves. He's late to school. Which, how does that work? You have super speed. I mean, we saw that in the pilot. Mm-hmm. You can obviously get to school as fast as you want to.
Don't worry about that. You promise all your chores will be done. Yeah, give me 90 seconds. Get them done real fast before my day.
But everything to do with Lana and Clark, like I remember watching the first season of The Flash with Grant Gustin, and every time, like at the beginning of the episode, something would happen between him and Iris, or Iris and Joe. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, okay, this is the next 6 months worth of the show. And when they would wrap it up at the end of the episode, I was just like...
Clearly, CW, you did not learn from your predecessor, because when something happens, we're going to drag this mother out.
And, I remember at the time being excited, because it's like, oh, they're actually going to go on their first date. And then this gets in the way, and it's like...
Yeah.
And... what I hate more than anything, not hate, hate's a strong word. What I dislike, and what is one of the problems I have with watching the first 5 seasons of the show, is like every time something like this happened, and Lana was just like, hey, Clark, what's going on? And he's just like, dun, 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 like the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme starts playing in the background. It's like in season 5 when he survives getting shot in the chest and there's like no explanation, but we're just going to go with it. It's just like I understand why Chloe did it. I don't understand why you did it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I get this is the thing, but I'm not into that thing anymore. Like
it was easier to excuse it being around that same age and seeing my peers act not disappearing and getting shot and being fine and constantly kids dying at school. Not that amount of it, but just the pining and the almost and the not, like seeing that go on. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And now I'm like, you stupid children, move on. You just want to shake them. You just want to grab them and shake them a little bit.
It's funny that you mentioned that because when Superman and Lois is going on, when the seasons are happening, the discourse is how annoying the kids are. And I'm like, do y'all not remember being teenagers?
Yeah.
Do y'all just not remember how stupid we all were?
Yeah. Your brain wasn't formed yet.
Yeah. And I'm like, these are some of the most realistic teenagers I've ever seen on television. Because they're not super, super capable. I mean, let's face it, at this point, Lana is, 15, 16 years old. She's managing a coffee shop. Enough that she is the person they call when somebody needs to speak to the manager.
She owns it. She's co-owner of it. Well, I mean, I guess she's
co-owner of it. She's not living there yet.
Yeah, she's living with Chloe. Her aunt has left, so she has no guardianship whatsoever. And let's not forget the constant brain damage. I mean, they're getting knocked left and right weekly. They're at the hospital. There's parasitic worms in this one. We already saw yesterday what a worm does to somebody's brain in the news. I mean, it's
the thing I did like, though, was it was an interesting way to explore how knowing Clark's secret is affecting Pete.
Yeah.
Pete was one of those characters that when he was gone, I didn't really think about him too much.
Right.
But when he's there, I liked him being there. And I think that's because his exit was very natural. It felt like, my mom is moving. I have to leave town because I'm a teenager and I'm not Lana Lang, so I have to go.
Well, plus all the stuff with not necessarily witness protection, but telling on Lionel and all that storyline against Lex and everything.
So it felt like kind of natural for his character to be off the stage, which made his one reappearance later it was tarnished because it was just. It's just like
I maintain that when one of the episodes that Martha returned, he should have returned with Martha being her campaign manager.
Yeah, something like that.
Anything.
Because if Lois Lane can randomly be somebody's campaign manager, why can't Pete?
Surely someone with political aspirations like Pete Ross.
But what I liked is at the beginning, Pete's just like, oh crap, the rave is at the cave. And boy, this is the most TV version of a rave ever. I'm not seeing kegs. I'm not seeing people tripping out on X.
That's a lot of crap to bring down there. It's not easy to get to this thing. You're bringing lights and scaffolding in? It's not...
Yeah.
At least wait until Walden takes control and all that stuff's already in there, and then you could utilize some of that.
Him being put into position so that he gets taken over by the parasite, and then the things that he's doing. One of the funniest to me was when he jumps in front of the bus and Clark stops him, and he's just yelling, "My friend's an alien! My friend's an alien!" I would have been like, Clark, don't worry about that. He looks insane.
He looks crazy.
No one's going to believe him.
He just stood in front of a bus. Also, I forget it's 2003. There's not a bunch of people standing outside doing this the whole time. Just filming.
There was a web series at one point that made fun of Spider-Man 2 like that, where they were standing in the subway and they had their camera out and they were taking pictures of Peter Parker without the mask on. When Chloe gets infected, I think it was fun for Allison Mack to be that.
There's not too many episodes where she got to do something different. There's a handful where she gets to do something, whereas Lana and Clark and Pete, it feels like everybody got their time to do that. So there weren't too many instances where she did.
I do like how we have to show physically that she's going bad. She's wearing dark eye makeup
and red, and she's wearing red.
And it's just making out with random dudes in the hallway, which felt very high school, by the way. Yeah.
In that town, how do you not know who somebody is?
Yeah, that is.
Who is that? I don't know. I met him in the hall. I thought he was hot. There's not. Okay. It's not a big high school, and a lot of you have died at this point. A lot of you have died. The graduation class is slimming by the day. Each episode,
like during that graduation ceremony, that they have to do like what they do at the Oscars, where they go through like
the in memoriam took hours.
And it's never like their school picture is always like the picture of like the dude who's got like covered in ice and
the forever guy from the week before, Frozen. Yeah, it's always that. No, it would take forever. I graduated. There was like 600 people in my graduating class. Yeah, and that class of 30 probably took longer due to the in memoriam.
There's part of me that was, while I was watching it, I was like, this was the show. This was the dynamic of the show. Yeah. They would have episodes like this. Episodic television has changed so much in the past 24, 25 years. We don't, like Superman and Lois had shorter seasons, so you have less real estate to do this kind of thing. I remember at one point I was on a panel at Dragon Con, and I was talking like, I don't, every season, it was like almost the second to last episode would be like this kind of filler episode because they're just revving up to the season finale and they're just filling time. And somebody raised their hands. They're like, but yeah, those are the ones where you get the most character work. And I'm like, fair.
Okay.
Which is accurate because in this, it was about Pete and how, one, Pete knowing was great for the season because, like in the previous episode, he got to be Robin to Clark's Batman. Yeah. He got to be the one Clark talked everything out through without having to, like, beat around the bush about it. Yeah. And here we're kind of seeing the ramifications of that keeping it inside is a huge deal. He's trying to get the kids like, hey, stop making out by those walls because you might screw something up. We got to stop this. Right. One, to your point, how do you not know who that kid is? To my point, it's not like it's a big town. If you got MapQuest directions, it would be like, oh, those are the caves.
Right. Yes, exactly. Why are you surprised? If you printed out MapQuest, which we all did at that time period, how do you not know where you're going? That should be clear. Also, to this point, which I guess kind of falls into it, in Suspect, every time they mention Lionel in this episode, they call him Lionel Luthor. Mm-hmm. We know. When Martha and Clark come in and visit Jonathan in jail, in the first episode, in the first scene after the cold open, Jonathan says, "How's Lionel Luthor?" We're aware of what's going on. You don't have to spoon feed us that much. We know that you have been arrested for the. Like, I get Ethan saying you've been arrested for shooting Lionel Luthor. That's fine. Every time else throughout the rest of the episode, they refer to him as Lionel Luthor. Like, Clark calls him Lionel Luthor to somebody, and it's like you don't have to give us this much service. Like, we have some critical thinking about this.
I was very amused at the end of the episode that it seemed like Martha and Jonathan and Clark were all kind of smack-talking Pete until he walks into the room, and then it's like, hey, how you
Buddy,
doing?
Hey!
It's just like, oh my God, I can't believe Pete did that. Pete walks in. Yeah, I can't believe it either. Oh! Yeah, this is a lot of pressure for you. We're really sorry.
You're here. In the next episode, Prodigal, when Lex brings we'll talk about it more on the next episode, but when Lex brings Lucas around to meet Clark and Pete, they get out of the car and Lex says, "I want you to meet somebody. This is my brother, Lucas." And Clark and Pete are playing basketball in the driveway. There's no introduction. Nobody ever says, "Hi, I'm Pete. Hi, I'm Clark." He says, "This is my brother Lucas," and Pete just passes the basketball. Is like, "You want to play some hoops?" Like they're 6-year-olds. Like you want to be best friends? You want to?
You want to come see my Star Wars guys? I got them upstairs.
I have the C-3PO case and the Darth Vader case.
That one was for Steve, who is not with us.
Who's not with us.
I want him to see that and know that I'm thinking of him, even though he's ducking me.
He's ducking you. Yeah, tornadoes were a total lie.
No, not in this area.
No, not in this area. They weren't. No, that's true. Jeez, thinking of everybody that's been affected by these string of storms here lately. Professor Bailey, thank you for joining us. I value your opinions, and you and I are almost always in line as long as it's not Superman Returns. We seem to always share good things that I've enjoyed getting to know you over the years. Everybody that this podcast has brought into my life, and so as we march to 200th episode, I appreciate you coming on and being a part of it. Go ahead.
If you would have told me back when I bought the season 6 DVD box set that at one point I'd be talking to some of the people in the special features, I just no, I'm dead serious. It's just like so weird. How just how things play out. Like you're like, hey, that'd be cool to be on that show. That looks like fun, and now I've been on a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And it's always a pleasure. I think a lot of you, just as a person in general. And I remember back listening to you and Steve at Disney, and going, that guy seems really cool. And nothing will ever be as funny as the look on your face at DragonCon 2008. When Steve brings up Small Wonder, and I said, "You go to hell, Steve Glosson."
Sitting on the front row right in front of me.
Because your head whipped around like, what?
I lost it. I absolutely. If I had a drink in my hand, I'm bad about spit takes. I always drink at the worst possible times. My buddy Graham, that hosts the 10th Wonder with me, his goal in life is to make me laugh, spit take, because it's the funniest thing in the world to him, and he gets so mad when I manage to get the water down without it happening. But oh God, I will vividly remember that day for the rest of my life. Sitting in, was that Terminator?
It was the Terminator panel.
Sarah Connor Chronicles that Steve and I were told we were hosting, and that a bunch of other people showed up hosting with us.
Welcome to DragonCon.
Welcome to DragonCon.
But to answer your question of where people can find me, on a regular basis, every Monday night at 10:30 Eastern Time, Steve Eunice, Mark Lax, and I do Superman Homepage Live, which has gotten a lot more viewers, and that makes a lot of sense because we're ramping up to a movie. The homepage traffic always gets a lot heavier.
I mean, My Adventures with Superman, final season of Superman Lois, the new film. I mean, we're eating good right now with Superman fans, whereas we've been starved a lot in the past.
You can also go to fortressofbaileytude.com and find the various feeds on your podcatcher for my shows. There's the main feed for Fortress of Baileytude. I'm in the process of moving a lot of things over to Libsyn because my old system, I finally ran out of luck in how I was doing things. So now I want I want to actually be able to upload an episode and it not show up 3 weeks later for some random reason. Yeah. But Superman related, there's 266 episodes of From Crisis to Crisis that you can listen to that people message me every once in a while that they've started. And my reaction to that is, you poor bastards. It's just like, good luck.
Hey,
buckle up.
Listen, at some point, Frank and I will finish, and Tim will finish Save Me, the Smallville anthology.
And there's 2 different feeds for a show called It All Comes Back to Superman, where I get to talk about other things in the world of Superman besides the post-crisis stuff. But no, thank you so much for asking. I know we've been trying to get together and do something for like 3 years now, but my personal life just keeps like inserting itself between work and life, and I'm actually, I was up in Virginia for a couple months trying to get settled, and then I had to come back home to deal with some stuff, which is why you get this glorious background in my dad's bedroom. But I really appreciate you having me on. Shu was one of those places that when I talk to people now, when I interact with them on social media, they're like, yeah, I heard, they call me Professor, and it's because of Shu. And there was a point where I wanted to kind of lose it because I became friends with actual professors that were podcasting, and I'm like, I'm not and they were like, shut up, just accept it. But no, it's now a feature on the Superman and Lois tapes. It's Professor Bailey's Superman 101, and it's because of you guys.
I think you need a Mr. Wizard type theme song. So in your rider, when you appear on other people's podcasts, that this is the music they have to play you in with.
I need something that sounds 80s and that it was done by a guy that was doing themes for 1,000 other things for PBS. Yeah,
I'll work on that for you in my spare time.
So, I appreciate it. But thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. You can find us, smallvillepodcast.com. We are on the socials with a variety of different handles. We are at Shoe Smallville on the Twitter or the X. Don't call it that. On Instagram, at Starkville House of L. On TikTok, at Smallville Podcast. And we would love it if you would leave a rating and review on your podcatcher of choice. Of course, we're on Apple and Spotify, wherever else you can find us. Apparently, Google Podcast doesn't exist anymore. I just found that out this week.
Nope, it went away. So
YouTube Music is what they're calling that now. So congrats. The more things change, the more things stay the same. And we will be back again tomorrow with another new episode as we march to 200, because for some reason my Winter Soldier mind went off and was like, oh, we're about to hit 19 years and we're this close to 200 episodes. We should probably try to do that because I've been bad and haven't recorded since Christmas. So here we are. But coming up on episode 200, Rosetta, here in a matter of days. So I'm excited to talk about that one and I've got a pretty good surprise for it. I'm excited about. So it may just be a good surprise for me. I don't want to oversell it. But again, Michael, thank you for joining. Sorry, Professor. My God, what did I do? I said it wrong. Professor, thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys next time.